Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by the Talk Radio Network. Guys, it's a beautiful Wednesday, March the 1st, sunny day in California, and we're going to brighten up it even more with the in-studio guest that I have. I'm proud and I'm privileged to welcome this iconic and ingenious bassist who's played with the likes of Chick Corea, Mr. Herbie Hancock, one of my favorites, Mr. Wayne Shorter, and also the co-founder of his own group called CAB, C-A-B. We'll talk more about that in detail. So with that said, everybody, I want everybody to welcome with open arms and open ears to the show, Mr. Bunny Brunel. Bunny, welcome to Jackie's Groove, brother.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure, to be talking to you guys.
Well, I promised you I would bring you back on because we had such a great time when I commandeered Florentino, the CEO's interview with you. He asked me if I would join in, and I was just recuperating from back surgery, so I'm back live. So that's going to have some fun right now. We're going to all talk about this whole encompassing career of Mr. Bunny Brunel and what he started with and where he's at currently, and we're going to let the audience know what's going on. So with that said, I want to wish Bunny a happy early birthday tomorrow.
That's
March
right.
the 2nd, my brother. March the 2nd, you're going to be 25 years old. Congratulations.
Yeah, what's funny, it's the first is my brother's birthday.
Happy birthday.
My brother was 2 years older, was born on March 1st and March 2nd. So we got my mother wanted to do it that way because like that we have two different celebrations.
Well, congratulations, Mrs. Brunel. And also, this all started in one of my wife's favorite cities in the land of love, a city called Nice, France. You can pick it up from there and tell everybody about how it was growing up in Nice.
Well, Nice is one of the most beautiful cities. It's true, everything is beautiful over there. You got the palm tree, you got the sun. Even in winter when it gets cold, you still have the blue sky. So it's that's why I'm in California. I like it because it's close to that. And it's beautiful. And for some unknown reason, most of the great musicians in France come from there. It's just like the south of France as we have a sun in our music or something. But they have the greatest drummers and all that, from there, bass players and the great musicians are coming from that city. And there's not something special, having a special school or whatever. They do have a great classical conservatory, but which I attended. It's funny because I attended as well with the famous British drummer, Steve Farrell. Steve Farrell used to play in the south of France in the band called the Piranhas, and we went, to the classical conservatory. So that's why I used him on the tune, that I composed the tune Bay of the Angels. It's referred to the front beach of Nice, which is called La Baie des Anges in English, the Bay of the Angels. And I used people from Nice, beside Stanley Clarke and Steve Farrell. But Steve Farrell lived so long over there. I thought it was a good, thing to have Steve playing the drums, but to have a, couple of bass players, three bass players from Nice. Tony Bonfils, Dominique Bertram, and Fifi Shayeb, who actually plays the bass for Cobham, Billy Cobham. And so I compose, and they have a horn player, the trombone player, Alex Perdigon, and Eric Josseram, trumpet, are as well from Nice. So I wanted to compose a song that happy, and you can listen on that album. This is a very happy type of title, so that's the place to be. The food is perfect. Everything is perfect over there, the beach and all that. Everything is beautiful. So I recommend for people, if you go to Nice, by the way, people who are listening, you have to go to a place called La Pizza, okay? The complete name is La Pizza Cresci, Cresci, whatever. It's everybody know La Pizza, and you will eat the best pizza in the world. When people tell me you like pizza, I say no, I cannot eat pizza here because that's where I eat pizza. I go over there, and if you go, you'll see. I remember telling Patrice Rushen about it. She called me from the restaurant, tell me, you're right, this is. So I would recommend, La Pizza, go eat pizza, La Pizza in Nice,
Something definitely not a forget-me-not for the lack of a Patrice Rushen song.
Very good.
Hey, Bunny, you know what? Now that you've got me totally hungry, I think the show's over with. So everybody, thank you for joining Jackie Bertoni and Bunny Brunel. Okay. So let's get back here. So, Bunny, tell me, when did you make your pilgrimage out of France, and where did France lead you to? Was it to the U.S.?
Well, basically, when you're in Nice, you're playing gigs in casinos and hotel. They have great hotels, and Monte Carlo is one of the places. I always played in Monte Carlo and things like that. But at the time, because I'm talking about a long time ago. I'm not afraid to tell people. I'm turning 67.
Absolutely.
So when I was playing, in the 60s, I was playing in a club. There was a huge club over there playing. I was playing a pride bass, jazz on one floor, and then I was playing James Brown music on the second floor, But then after a while, you want to get, going, so you have to move to Paris. Because Paris was the place where they had recording sessions and all the big artists. And I actually worked for quite a while in Paris doing recording sessions. I was playing for some pop singers, any kind of music, okay? So, which is great because that gave me the opportunity to really be able to play any kind of music. I'm not stuck in one style,
Exactly.
I know how to play, as I said, James Brown, Otis Redding. That's how I learned how to play the electric bass, a little funky, And but then playing in casinos, we used to play like some Brazilian music and things like that. And so it's jazz on some places, Brazilian funk. And then in the studio, then you end up recording pop music. So I was doing sessions, and I cannot tell you who they are because you go in the morning, when the subway with a bass on the back, go in the studio, go in, sign a paper to be able to be paid. Go in the studio, sit on the chair, put headphones, plug your bass in a direct box. They put a chart in front of you. It's funny because a French arranger, they write everything. The bass, the drum part, the percussion part. They don't think like Quincy Jones, for instance. He's doing a recording. He's choosing, I'm going to get that bass player, that drummer to get the style and give them indication of the bars and some part that everybody has to play, but they let them play to bring their own skills to it. No, French people, the arranger writes everything. So
it's funny, Bunny, that you said the fact about putting a chart in front of that brings back the old joke between percussionists and bass players, is how do you turn a bass player down? And the answer is put a chart in front of him.
Oh, well, that was definitely not the case right there.
There you go.
And all those artists, were definitely, having arrangers that wrote all the music, everything. So you sit down, you plug it in. They don't even let you go in a control room. and you start recording, you play the bass, read the chart, whatever it is. You cannot add a note or whatever. It's kind of forbidden. You have to read. And after a while, I got really tired of that. And I started playing in the club. I was playing in a club called the Bilboquet. And unfortunately, they just closed it. It was open until last year, I believe. And it was one of the best club over there. And I had a band playing with a singer, percussion player from, she was actually from Chile. But she sang Brazilian songs and things like that, and Brazilian percussions. Right. And it's funny. It was really like a bizarre. The guitar player was from Mexico, a Mexican guitar player that played Brazilian music as well. And I had a North African guy called Sam Kelly that would play the congas and all that, killer guy. And
crazy.
His real name was actually Mohammed Ben Fattah. He was from Morocco. So I had that heteroclite, that really like bizarre, but it sounded great. And I was playing, and I was the one playing the solos, So they basically, so, and then playing in that club, I met different people that I toured with after. Joachim Kuhn, jazz pianist, Daniel Humer, really a great French jazz drummer. And then I met Tania Maria. Tania Maria is a killer singer, pianist from Brazil. And absolutely. I went touring with her in Europe. I was touring in Europe with one of the greatest drummer, Andre Ciccarelli, who's actually from Nice. I grew up with playing with a great drummer. It's a family of drummers. It's like in America, you have the Wackermans, Chad Wackerman, John Wackerman, Brooks Wackerman, Bob Wackerman, who's the only one who plays the bass,
Exactly.
But they all play drums. And the Ciccarelli family is the same. You have the father, you have the two sons and the grandson playing the drums, and they're all like really fantastic. Anyway, so I was touring, playing in Europe, and then we end up at the Ronnie Scott Club in London, and performed for the whole week. And every night, there was a guy who came at the time. I had no idea who it was because I was more into, the funk, the jazz, and the thing like that. So it was that guy, Patrick Moraz,
really
was there every night with a glass of cognac, telling me, oh, well, there's only Stanley, Jacko, Jeff Berlin that I didn't even know myself at the time, and you, and that's it. That's what he was saying. He said, oh, yeah, thank you very much. You're very nice. Thank you. Thank you. And so he was there every night. And on Saturday night, he said, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to come tomorrow. I said, okay. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go see Chick Corea. I said, oh, great. That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Go see Chick Corea. You say, yes, but I'm going to bring him. I'm going to tell him to come and listen to you. And I said, oh, all right, just bring the whole band, I didn't believe anything any second, It was not bad. But I didn't know that was, his friend, and Chick was actually looking for a bass player because he auditioned a lot of people in California. I couldn't find anybody to replace Stanley Clarke. So he came down and listened to me and said, oh, that's how I got the gig. He heard me and said, oh, that's the guy I need. And that's moved. It was in 1978. I moved August. I moved to Los Angeles to record the album Secret Agent. And I'm still here.
God bless. And we welcome you. And Bunny, step back for a second on the song that we started out the segment with. Very progressive, very funky. Something that I'm not familiar with you, but I'm familiar with you more of your stand-up bass itself. What was the genesis of that song that we started the hour off with? You want to talk about that?
Yes, that was this one. If remember, what's the title of that one?
Paulie, what was that title, Paul?
You have to give me the title.
I'm sorry, I was doing something else.
What was the title of Bunny's song that we started?
The one that we just kicked off with?
Yes.
That was Nothing But the Bass.
Oh, Nothing But the Bass.
Aptly named.
Nothing But the Bass. Well, that song was composed with some chords that Stanley said, oh, let's do something rock. Let's, Let's do something, rockish right there. And so he played some chords like that, and then I had some chords to do the bridge and all that, and he did the melody and I did the bridge, and I was it was funny because my daughter Gigi was singing along, and I picked up a little bit of a melody she was singing to make the bridge with it, and I did that song playing I'm playing the electric bass, but I'm playing the piccolo bass. I have a 5-string piccolo bass, which basically is tuned like a guitar with that the high E. It's the same octave of a guitar, and I'm using it's triggering a synthesizer at the same time, so you hear like a synthesizer sounds and things like that, But it's me playing it with the piccolo bass, and then actually the first solo that comes up, it's me playing the piccolo bass. That's what it is.
And the reason why I brought that up, because with that phaser and so on that you're using, we have a mutual friend that I worked with for years, and that's the first time I ever heard a bass being done that way. And we're talking about Mr. Brian Bromberg, and and that's one thing that used to blow me out of the water. I mean, I'd be playing with him, but I'd be just shocked at watching him play the bass like a guitar and the sounds that were coming out of it, and the triggers, if you will. And it just showed me that bass is different all the way around. Yeah, and talking about bass and being around great bass players, we're going to be trailing out of this first segment. See how fast it's going, Bunny. But I want to take a couple seconds here and have the listeners worldwide say a quick prayer for my dear friend, Mr. Francis Rocco Prestia from Tower of Power. He's fallen ill, and he's his lungs collapsed. Yeah, his lungs collapsed. So he's in Las Vegas. So fingers crossed, and we're praying that he pulls out of this. So throwing a positive vibe, and we're doing it. So I wanted to bring that up before we went on this segment. And Bunny, so as we're trailing off on the first segment, I'm looking forward to this, my friend. We're going to learn all about Bunny Brunel. We're going to learn about what he's got coming up, what's on his roster, what's on his plate, and something we're very proud to be associated with this coming Friday, in which will enlighten the listeners also. So with that said, guys, don't go anywhere. This is Jackie Bertoni. This is Jackie's Groove, brought to you by the Intertalk Radio Network. We are very, very, very proud and privileged to have the iconic bassist in our studio today, Mr. Bunny Brunel. So, Bunny, stay tight. Don't go anywhere. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. And, Bunny, put your thinking cap on, because we're going to step back a little bit also, then we're going to go forward. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with Mr. Bunny Brunel. This is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove. Don't go anywhere.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m.
Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back. This is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio. Hey, guys, we're on segment number 2 in a 2-hour interview with the iconic and jazz master, Mr. Bunny Brunel. And before we start going forward here, I'm just going to ask everybody to do us a favor. And you know what? And better yet, do yourselves a favor. When you can't listen to Jackie's Groove and anything and every show that's on Intertalk Radio, when you can't listen to us live, you know what? Go to iTunes and go to Google Play and download our easy-to-use and navigate app. And 2 words. Intertalk is the first word. Radio is the second word. And take Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, and the plethora of shows from Intertalk Radio with you on the go. We'd appreciate it. And what do you want to? How would you want to miss this? Are you having a great time? I know we are. And so, with that said, coming back on the top of the segment, hey Bunny, that beautiful jazzy shuffle, kind of an a la. I say this as a compliment, but kind of an a la Jeff Porcaro kind of a vibe to it. Talk to me about that song and tell the listeners what we just heard.
The one we just heard, Slap and Tickle. You know, it's just a composition that I actually made before. It had a different name, but what happened when I had Victor playing on it and Stanley, and you have also Adrien Farrell, French bass player who played a killer solo in there, and Dennis Chambers on drums. When I did that, Victor, stopped changing the groove, and he made such a beautiful thing that I had to put his name as a composer and call it something else, because it really made sense, with him, adding his own thing like that. Right. And Stanley Clarke putting a melody at the beginning, he put another melody on it, so that became a Bunny Brunel, Stanley Clarke, Victor Wooten composition right there.
and I got to tell you, I feel sorry for you, my friend, that you can't hire musicians that have any names.
Yeah, and, that's the problem. But you do whatever you would with what you have. It's reality. You deal with it.
I mean, I love the tune, man. I mean, I love shuffles, period, and especially when I hear shuffles that are mixed up in different genres of music, which I think is really, really cool all the way around. So, I want to go back to that. I want to ask you a question because a lot of listeners want to know about, you've inspired so many people growing up. You've inspired so many people, even in their adult ages, that listen to bass. But I guess the question I want to ask, and I'm intrigued by finding out, is who inspired Bunny Brunel growing up? Well, at the beginning, as I said, I was playing James Brown music, it's right.
James Brown, Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, Sam and Dave. Okay, so that's all those bass players. There's I probably have a list. I have a list of 10 bass players somewhere that are barely mentioned when they talk about funky music. They always mention the same person. They have a fixation with one player, the media, and they talk about that guy. But there's a bunch of amazing bass players that actually created the style, And if you like, Bernard Odom is one of the bass players. He just passed away not too long ago. That I'm trying to remember. I can probably find it in my computer. Trying to ask a bass player list, I can probably find it somewhere. But anyway, and you have another one who passed away was Donald Duck Dunn.
Right.
And Carol Kay, of course.
Of course.
You have you have all those people that contribute to create a style, that actually after that was picking up by other great bass players. But these people, I hope one day Bass Player Magazine will do something for these people, because I really like people to mention, all those amazing bass players, and I grew up like playing the bass, doing that, because, if you listen to the Beatles or the Rolling Stone at the time, and at the same time I was playing a Pride bass, listening to, Oscar Peterson,
right,
with Sam Jones is one of the first one, and Willie Dixon as well. That's one of the first people I was trying to play the bass line the way they were doing it. For me to play the bass listening to the Rolling Stones, which I really love the Rolling Stones, by the way, but as a bass part, or the Beatles, it was pathetic at the time. The Beatles got a lot better, beautiful composition after a while. But I'm talking about She Loves You, yeah, yeah, yeah,
exactly.
Things like that, So that was boring for me. So I couldn't stand that, because, playing jazz, you can hear all those things and make up nice bass lines. But James Brown, the bass lines were really interesting, and Otis Redding, all those guys that, I like that. So that's why I start playing, the bass, listening to them. And I was playing both instruments, the acoustic and the electric bass at the same time, all the time. So I keep growing, listening to that. And then after that, of course, other people came up, because I played piano. I started playing piano. I used to take some lesson piano when I was young. And for me, I loved listening to Herbie Hancock, John Coltrane. And each time I heard people playing bass solos, it was always like the mystery bass solo, especially on your Pride bass. And
right.
I wanted, my idea was, no, I want a solo like John Coltrane. I want a solo like Herbie Hancock. I want to play the bass, play some phrases that you can hear the tone of the chords and all. You can follow, make a melody and all that. And that's why I started practicing. That's what I was doing. I was practicing. I wanted to play like that. And one day there's a friend of mine, I went to visit, was an upright bass player. He said, oh, listen to that. And he put a record, and it was Bill Evans at the Montreux Jazz Festival. Okay. And he played a track. It was just a bass solo. It was Eddie Gomez playing Embraceable You. If you can listen to that. And I listened and said, oh my God, that's it. That's what I want to do. I want to play like that. That showed me that it was what I was working on was
right.
possible. And after that also, then people told me, oh, well, if you like him, you have to listen to Gary Peacock and Scott LaFaro and things like that. And then so I was just practicing, keep going. And I don't play like these people at all, which is good. I've developed, because I already had the ideas, just it showed me that it was possible.
Right.
And then you have a Stanley Clarke came out, with the early Return to Forever with Ayrton Moreira and Flora Purin, and Joe Farrell. And I love that. I was playing with the record, and I really like the sound of the upright bass on Stanley, and the interesting bass lines.
Right.
It would play some really, something different. It was different. So I really so I was playing along with the record. You say, oh man, but for some reason I cannot duplicate people. It was funny, because there was a little bass solo introduction on one of the tune, and one day I was at Stanley's house, and I pick up the bass and I say, oh, do you know that? And I start playing, there was only his introduction, and he says, what is that? Well, it's one of your solos.
Really?
Tell you, I distorted.
I love it.
I was trying to play the beginning of one of his sort of just few bars, He didn't recognize it. I love it. So I have that thing that I cannot really play like the other guys. It comes out different.
Well, you've also, you based your own thumbprint in the history of bass, and listening to and to all the young listeners out there right now, listen to me as an old guy. Listen to Bunny as an old man, and I say that with all due respect. But you have to embrace the elders, my friend. I mean, to have an ending, you had to have a beginning. And, everybody has made their own basses. We're talking about amazing bass lines. I messed it up a little while ago. Rocco Prestia from Tower of Power. Come on, Bunny. Bunny, was that one of the most ingenious
yes,
bass?
In fact, later on, because that comes a lot later,
Of course.
After listening to all that, so I was playing, I was gigging around, and then one day the pianist that played with me, come to my house and you knock on the door and say, he had a LP in his hand, and he said, you have to listen to that. There's a guy who sounds like you. That's what he said.
Oh,
and he
cool.
gave me, that was Jacko's record.
That's a compliment.
So then I put it on and I'll say, oh, hell no. I mean, the guy was like freaking ridiculous. I loved it. But just to tell you, I was already in that direction, So that's why I have the fortune playing fretless, not sounding like him.
Right.
Because I was already doing the same type of thing, did it the same way. And so I kept going like that, listening. I loved I really love Paul Jackson that used to play with Herbie,
Paul Jackson Jr., yes.
Yeah, Paul Jackson, the bass player, because they have a guitar player. I'm talking about the bass player. I love the guy would play bass line. Nobody plays bass line like that. And the timing, that guy's got the timing. He'll get a nosebleed before he lose the time.
Exactly.
That was Brian Augers who played with him. That was a phrase by Brian Auger. He would get a nosebleed before he lose the time. It's freaking pocket. That guy is ridiculous.
And that's a great line. And I use that line too because I love this. I always use it on most of especially my drummer interviews. Is that you create such a heavy groove, Bunny, that you have to get a ladder to get out of it. And
exactly. That's a good idea.
And once you lock into, especially you being a bass player, it is the duty of yourself and the drummer to lock. It
is true. That's the problem with a lot of a young player. And if you have some young people listening, please don't forget the number one rule. If you play the bass, learn how to play the bass. It's great if you can play 1,000-mile solos. It's really impressive. But if you want to have gigs with people calling you, you're going to have to play the bass. Got the groove. You got to lay down the groove, the pocket. You got to do that. And that's the problem with a lot of younger people now. There's some guys that's like the technique is just off the wall. But they don't know how to play the pocket. They don't have that. So that's the first thing first. Play the pocket, play the bass lines, and then after a while, if you can play some great solos, well, that's it, you have it. That's the greatness of people like Stanley Clarke. Stanley plays the bass. When he plays the bass, he's playing the bass. He's not doing some, ridiculous line behind the players. You have to support whoever you're playing for. Miles Davis, if you make the whole sound good, you sound good.
Absolutely.
No ego right there.
And to listen to kids, listen to what Bunny's telling you itself. And I've always said this numerous times, again, being an old guy in the industry. When my interview and my good friend of mine, Mr. Al Dimeola, you know him very well also, Bunny. Yes, and Al never understood the word shredder. He's a shredder. And Al said to me, what the fuck is a shredder? And the biggest problem with young guys growing up that haven't got their asses kicked or have a few bruises and bumps to prove along the way. But you have to understand one thing, kids. Listen, there's a lot of older players out there also. Stop building the house before you build the foundation. Yeah, and you have to have a foundation before you build that house. And it's not all about how many chops you have. Bunny, it's a great term I've always used. I learned this over the years. And I was taught this by Jeff Porcaro. I mentioned him a little while ago. God bless you, Jeff. But Jeff had a great saying. We even left it on an album that I recorded with Jeff and Michael McDonald and Henry Capono. We used it on one of the end of the songs. And the saying is I've got good news and bad news, Bunny. The good news is that cat's got a lot of chops. The bad news is that cat's got a lot of chops. And but it's true though, man. I mean, kids, listen, when you're hired to be a bass player, play the bass, just like Bunny said. And that's why you stay relevant in this industry by being an innovator, but at the same time too falling into the groove. And that's the whole thing about Jackie's Groove, keeping it well. I mean, I'm sitting here right now and I'm looking at a plethora. You and I had the opportunity. I only had a one-time gig that, and I haven't heard the name in such a long time, but Kazumi Watanabe. I mean, great player. And I will tell you, as I said before, Bunny, I'm not going to be shy in saying so, but I've been blessed to work with the greatest bass players in this industry. But I got to tell you, I want to work with you because listening to your work, it's very percussive, and the things that I'm hearing are amazing. I've had the pleasure of working with everybody. I have had the longevity working with Stanley. I have had the longevity working with George Duke, but never with Herbie Hancock, never with Chick Corea, and never with Bunny Brunel. That will be a bucket list, my friend. So keep your eyes on this. You know what? Never ever say never. You know what? And that's the basis, and that's why nowadays, guys. I say this, I don't mean to be crass, but the Grim Reaper has it out for the entertainment business. I always use this term that the band in heaven is a motherfucker. And I always use the joke also, I hope they're not looking for a 67-year-old bass player and a 56-year-old percussionist anytime soon. I've got too much shit to do here on earth. So, but that's, and that's why we have to embrace the legends. And that's why we at Intertalk Radio are embracing Mr. Bunny Brunel. So with that said, Bunny, we've got a minute and 15 seconds out of the this second segment. I want to ask a lot of questions about, because you have walked that walk, you have lived, you have bruised yourself, you've been beaten up, but that's how we learn. These kids that are on YouTube and becoming famous because they've been on YouTube, I don't see longevity in them, Bunny. I see that, again, I use the term over again, I use it freely. You have to get your asses kicked. You have to understand what being turned down is. And you have to surround yourself by the A players to kick your ass. And that's what this whole thing about it. None of us got into this business to starve. So that's why we must hone our business. And we're going to find out what it is that keeps Bunny relevant after all these years. And the listeners want to know that also. And I want to know. So with that said, Bunny, you know what? Go get that other beer because I know I'm going to grab one. And
it's a little too early for the beer.
It's okay. Now. Well, I'm lying. I've got a Diet Coke in front of me, so who am I kidding?
Very good.
So with that said, you guys, don't go anywhere. We're coming out of segment number 2 into segment number 3, the first hour of a 2-hour interview with this legend. He's alive and he's well and he's playing his ass off. And he's going to be coming to San Diego on Friday. We'll talk more about that. So with that said, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to a short break. Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network with Mr. Bunny Brunel on the line. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every
Are you
Wednesday.
serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Hey guys, sorry about the little glitch right there. I got kicked offline right there. I guess it's been probably my foul language. But with that said, everybody, welcome back to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. Guys, it's segment number 3 with the iconic and legendary bass player who's played with the masses, and we're going to get more involved on that. So with that said, I want everybody to welcome back with open arms and open ears my in-studio guest, Mr. Bunny Brunel. Bunny, are you back?
Never left, that's what it is. You can't have left, you never know,
You know what we're here to talk about, and that's the whole vibe about this industry, is keeping music alive. I always say this over and over again, Bunny. We got to support. We must support local musicians and local music. And we've got to get the government to put music back in the schools. I'm not going to get political
that's really important. That's really important.
Because there's it's just, Bunny, look around LA. You are a California resident. Every jazz club, with the exception of Vitalo's and the Baked Potato, they're falling off by the wayside. I was watching a great video here yesterday with a great saxophonist, a great does more movie soundtracks. His name is Sam Riney. We used to play at a great club. I don't know if you had the opportunity, Bunny, but do you remember Lee Cafe?
Le Cafe in the
in
Valley.
LA. Yes.
I actually played over there at the very beginning over there. I played a little bit over there. I used to live just behind it.
Yeah, but Lee Cafe, and you got places like La Vallée, places like Bon Appetit.
Well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we've got to, like, and I just remember, our friend, Mr. Stanley Clarke, when I had an interview with him in last September, we talked about the loss and the love of music, and especially for music like jazz and jazz fusion, which I love. In fact, Al uses a great term. He says, jazz fusion is in a state of confusion, and we just don't know where we're going to put it. I personally am not a huge fan of smooth jazz, but the fact of the matter is, the more progressive it is, I love it. So, and with that said, Bunny, let me ask you a question. If you had, and I hate to use this little term, but if you had only one genre of music to play, and you could only play that, what would that genre be? Tell the listeners that. What would your passion be?
Well, I like what we call jazz fusion. I'm not definitely not a smooth jazz. I'm a rough jazz player. It's just, it has to have changes. Playing what they call jazz with a couple of changes. I wish they wouldn't call it that way, because jazz is a complex music. Then trying to make it more available, more commercial, is destroying what it's the essence of what it's supposed to be. They should be called. There's nothing wrong with it, but they shouldn't be called jazz in this case. It's just the term. The term smooth jazz, I think it's degrading for the art of the jazz player. Totally degrading. So that's my opinion, So, if people want to listen to that, if they enjoy it, that's good. You can listen to it, but please do not call it jazz. It's not jazz is things like you listen to. I was had the honor, the privilege to play with Tony Williams. Jack Dejohnette and all those people. These people play jazz, straight ahead, just like killer. The changes, the pianist, with Herbie Hancock.
Absolutely.
Chick, Corea. You have even Patrice Rushen. That's a killer player. Patrice Rushen, Billy Childs. You have so many amazing, players. I mean, they don't play smooth jazz. They just play the jazz, the real thing, So
exactly.
In fact, you can see on the internet, they're coming out with sites, and things that are real jazz, they call it, and bringing back what the thing's supposed to be. And I believe they had a movie where they played jazz, was La La Land. Hopefully people are going to come back to listen to real jazz, you know what I mean? So let's put it this way and call the other stuff rhythm and blues or whatever. But that's what happened, Jazz festivals used to be playing jazz.
Exactly.
You have Herbie, Chick, you have Keith Jarrett, you have all those people playing. Wayne Shorter, and now they're playing rhythm and blues on those jazz, what called jazz festival. And
look at one of our stations out here. Look at the 94.7 The Wave out here. I mean, they went from one of the most prominent smooth jazz stations. Now they're playing pop music because
exactly.
And talking about jazz and real jazz, Bunny, I want to take one more second here, and I want to say. God bless and goodbye to our dear friend, the most amazing jazz vocalist, Mr. Al. Excuse me. I almost got choked up right there, Mr. Al Jarreau, who we lost. Man.
I had the privilege to play with Al, with Chick Corea and Al Jarreau, and the guy was just fantastic. One of the nicest guy, and what a singer, amazing.
I had Al here in my home. We did an interview. On July the 18th of last year, in one of his last interviews, and when I found out that we lost this man, who was a thumbprint of our soundscape and our landscape of music growing up, another one gone. I don't want to say too soon. He lived a beautiful life, 76 years old. But God bless you, brother. And I'm jealous that you had the chance to play with him. I just had a chance to sit.
Yeah, if you can check it on YouTube. If you put Al Jarreau, Bunny Brunel, you're gonna see a few video that we did actually with Chick Corea. He's singing Spain, is singing Grooving High and things like that with the great vibe player. Just lost his name, so it's going to come back in a second.
Write it down. Write it down.
It's
you talk about
is on drums and all that.
Right.
It's beautiful. You can check it out. But another thing that's terrible is because I used to tour with Larry Coryell and Alphonse Mouzon. Alphonse Mouzon passed away, and we played in the church with Larry. I was with Larry. We played with his son, Julian, and this Francesco on organ. We played in front of the casket right there. And Larry was just fine. And now Larry just passed away, just like in his sleep. He's just oh my God, all my pals, And when in that, we're talking about one of the greatest guitar players. He's the one who actually started the fusion. There was nobody before him as a fusion guitar player. He kicked everybody's ass. Even there's a record, I love it. It's called Spaces. And he's playing with McLaughlin, and there's a duet. He just kicked his ass. He was so good. Now, McLaughlin is untouchable. But at the time, it was Larry. That was Larry. He was holding the thing, He was so good. And he could play any style or sight read any style.
And play it well and play it correct. You mentioned a second ago, Mr. Alphonse Mouzon. I had a great interview with Alphonse last year. But unfortunately, we were moving over to some new equipment, and the audio came out horrible. And the sad thing about it, I got back in, what was it, a few months ago, I got a Facebook message from Alphonse. And Alphonse said, Brother Jackie, he goes, as soon as I am back on drums and as soon as you're back on the microphone and percussion, let's pick up where we left off. And my heart breaks because we lost him, and we didn't get a chance to air that. So, my God, guys, carpe diem. If you can do it today, and don't hold off. And what I want to do today also, Bunny, we have a mutual friend of ours in common. He's a great bassist, nowhere near your stature, of course. But moreover, he's my brother, man. He's also the CEO of Intertalk Radio. I commandeered his show when he interviewed you about 2 months ago, and turnabout's fair play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring on Mr. Florentino Buenaventura. Florentino, say hi to Mr. Bunny Brunel.
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm just fine. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm enjoying this interview. This is you guys. It's got, like you guys have been brothers for like years already. You've talked like 20 minutes on my show.
All musicians are brothers.
There you go.
You're 100% right. And speaking of brothers here, we got another brother of yours who just walked through the door. He's like, let him talk. And then all of a sudden we're in it. So Mr. Josquin Dupree is here with us.
All right, Josquin. That's from Saint-Tropez, from the south of France,
Talk it up, boys. Talk it up.
Another bass player from the south of France. There we go.
Yeah, he's part of the bass ball.
Yeah, that's right.
Best musicians in the world from the south of France.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what's in the water there.
Oh, by the way, I want to say something because we talked about the first tune. And, I didn't mention Harman Sabaleko, who's from Cameroon, plays the bass on that tune. The first one when we start the show. And we were talking about, the Wackerman family. That was John Wackerman on drums.
Very cool.
Okay, I wanted to say that. Now we can move on, keep going. So, yes, I had to call Josquin and say, you got to play some bass, Let's put some Sun from Saint-Tropez in there. So I had him playing the bass on a tune where Stanley and myself are playing. Stanley's playing a Pride bass solo, and he needed a bass behind it. Josquin would be the perfect man. He played a lot of sessions and all that. He's a very solid bass player, so that's why he always worked. You think what we were saying before, playing the bass, that guy can play the bass. That's why people hire him.
Oh, I think all songs should have at least 3 or 4 bass players in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. I play the bass too. We're outnumbering you guitar players and drummers today.
Yeah, maybe between 3 or 4 of you, one of you will hit the right note somewhere.
There you go.
Oh, damn. Of course, that came from a guitar player where the world revolves around the guitar player.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what it is. There was that lady that was all pissed off because she slept with one of the musicians of the band she went to see, and she was pissed off because it was the bass player.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I like the story.
Bunny, it also goes back that, the difference between, or what a guitar solo and a premature ejaculation have in common?
Oh, I wouldn't know that.
Well, the fact is that you know what's going to happen, but it's not a fucking thing you can do about it. So there you go, guys. There you go.
I guess you guys don't have any. You can say whatever you want on that show.
We only
Absolutely.
have 2
Good thing.
That's gonna have a bad vocabulary, and they'll be okay. So, but I'll restrain from that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to back away from the mic. I'm going to let you futurist bass players talk it up right now. Go ahead, kids.
Well, first off, man, I'm excited, brother. We're going to have you, big announcement here. You're going to be at Pitbull Audio on Friday.
That's right.
Yeah.
Talking, playing some bass, playing some tunes and talking about my model with the ESP, the Bunny Brunel ESP, fretted and fretless, 4-string and amplifier from Eden, have some Eden amplifiers that I'm playing with, and will be fun. I'll actually also use all the stuff. I will mention all the thing at the Pitbull Audio, and we're gonna have fun. There's gonna be some present, I believe. Got some T-shirts for some people, maybe some of my the new album.
Give away the album, which I'm excited about because it's amazing. It's amazing. Like I said, all albums should have nothing but 3 to 4 bass players. You know, that's how.
Yes,
that's how
well, the problem is just you got to be careful to whom you choose, because it could be ending like a herd of elephants.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
Yeah. Well, you and Jaskan can jam all day long, man. You guys are amazing. In fact, Jaskan, you're going to be there right at the.
Yeah, I'm not going to jam because I like to stand, especially when Bunny's playing. I just watch.
Yeah.
You know.
But how long you guys known each other?
Too long.
39 years.
39 years.
I actually never met him in France. I met him.
But you just turned 25, man. How does it you know each other?
We shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
You know the amazing thing with Bunny is we met in the United States, but the story goes back to the 70s in France when he left. He used to play with this incredible violinist in France, and when he left the band, I replaced him. He left the band to come play with Chick Corea, and I happened to be the bass player who replaced him in that band.
Wow.
Yeah. The name of it's Didier Lockwood. That you're talking about that, violin player, Didier Lockwood. There was a band called Surya, and I left the band, and he replaced me. So it's funny because I end up meeting him here.
Yeah. And then we didn't even get that much into bass. We got into food and drinking good wine and cooking. Because one thing Bunny will never tell you, he's the most incredible chef.
Oh, snap!
Well, you probably don't know this.
I'm bringing a hot plate, brother. You're gonna have to cook it.
Let me tell you, this guy's gonna need more than a hot plate. He's the quality and level of a cordon bleu chef.
Oh man!
Yeah, no, it's wicked.
Well, let us know when we're invited. We're there, but
yeah, all right.
No, guys. Better yet, Bunny. The doors are open here at Casa della Bertoni because you want to talk about being a chef. Florentino will attest to this.
Oh, yeah.
My wife is a cook. So, Bunny, I will release my wife and you into our beautiful kitchen. And you can do a little cross-section of food. Because, the bottom line is, guys, we are amazing musicians. But the bottom line is, with every gig that we did growing up, it seemed like we were excited about getting paid. But we always wanted to know if there was food on the gig. And we're going to talk more about that. And you guys don't go anywhere. I'm going to bring you both back on segment number 4, the second hour already. And we haven't even touched or scraped the surface yet. So we're going to do that when we come back on segment number 4 with Bunny Brunel. And this is Jackie Bertoni. Jackie's Groove, brought to you by the Intertalk Radio Network. You guys, you don't want to go away. I mean, this is Bass 101. And take some notes down, and also go to intertalkradio.com and go to our live feed. Do you have any questions for Mr. Brunel? Please bring this to us, and I will go ahead and translate it back to Bunny. So with that said, guys, you know what? If you're having a good time like we're having a good time, don't go anywhere itself. It's only going to get better. So when we step away from the microphone, we're going to be stepping out of segment number 3 into segment number 4, the second hour of a 2-hour amazing interview with Mr. Bunny Brunel. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for this short break. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Bumper music, please. This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Dimeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Entertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Okay, kids, this is what we talked about before, how to stay relevant and how to play what you're hired to play, and that's bass. And that bass is brought to you by my in-studio guest today, Mr. Bunny Brunel. This is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Group, brought to you by Intertalk Radio. Hey, you guys, I'm going to do a little bit of quick little business right now because we got to have the lights to stay on here. And how we do that is based upon our amazing sponsors. Florentino mentioned that on the last segment here. We've got Bunny coming up this coming Friday at Pitbull Audio, who is one of our biggest sponsors. And you can reach them at pitbullaudio.com, where they just want you to play it loud. And that's them leaving the office right now. And so with that said, reach Pitbull Audio, where they just want you to play it loud. And that's Calvin Lee and all the crazy guys over there. Also, our good friends of ours over at SIR, Studio Instrument Rentals, for all your backline needs and all of your rehearsal studio needs. And you can reach them at SIR-USA.com. And also our friends at Blue Microphone, who are sponsors of our show. You can reach them at bluemic.com. And also, let's talk about my guys. Vader Percussion, my drumstick company for 22 years. You can reach them at Vader, VATER.com. And also Drum Workshop, one of our newest sponsors. You can reach them at DWDrums.com. And for everything in the way of the who's who of drummers and the group and an organization I'm most biased to are my dear friends at LP Music. Going on 27 years, they've been backlining me and treating me like royalties. With that said, guys, reach them at lpmusic.com. That's the place to go. So now that that's been long-winded and we're done here, and Bunny's through walking through the doors and everything else, he's finally sitting down, and we talked at the break. Yeah, and Bunny, don't think you're going to get away with this, man, because we talked on the break away from the radio, and I made a joke about the fact of our long-lost comedian, Mr. Roddy Dangerfield, and Roddy said about food. He said, as we get older, sex gets old, but we'll always be hungry. You disagreed with that. Now go ahead, man, and talk about that. Let the audience know.
Like, you got to keep it up. That's what it is. You cannot just separate, suddenly say, all right, sex. No. You have to still be happening, So, and you can talk to Josquin. Is this still happening? Just like
well, look at you
going, and then after that, then you have you can start with a beautiful meal and all that, but then you're gonna have to be romantic and all that. Just gotta.
It's a French thing.
We should be playing some Maurice Chevalier in the background.
No, not him. We kicked him out of France.
There you go.
We're French, so we cannot just give up, sex. It's impossible.
You know what I love the most? You know what I love the most about this right now is that I have two Frenchmen on the line right now, and they haven't yelled and made fun of Americans yet.
No, we love Americans. Are you kidding?
There you go.
No, we would be in France. We'd be in France if we,
If you wanted to hate us. Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. If we didn't like it, we wouldn't be here. This is the best place on earth. Are you kidding? People asking me, are you going to move back to France? Hell no. I go over there for a couple of weeks,
Buddy and I,
some food and all that, and come back.
Buddy and I, we speak, and this is not, he can attest to this. We speak one to 2 times a day, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
And all we do is rag on French people.
Good.
You sound like Filipinos, man.
Oh, that's what it is, right? That's all we do,
That's all my Filipino people and I do as well.
That's the fun. So, anyway, I was just listening to what you just played from the album, and it's one of Stanley's songs, is L'Absolu, and you have the little Stanley Clarke solo there and Steve Bailey, It's a tune which has a Billy Sheehan playing a solo on there and with Simon Phillips on drums. So that's a killer.
I remember being a kid.
By the way,
I remember being a kid struggling to learn that one. Never got it.
So that's a good song. And the one before that we didn't talk about, was Standout. It's composed by Armand Sabaleko. And he's the one playing that killer bass line. I'm playing the melody with the fretless and all that. It's a really great record with the great musicians. You have Monette Marino from San Diego who plays the percussions. And Brian Cabrera, is from Orange County, who played the drums on that one. You have a bunch of different players on the whole album. And it's all tailored to have everybody sounding good. All those drummers, bass players and all that, they're all happening.
Okay, guys, and I'm going to jump in here for a quick second, and this goes to both of the other bass players that are on the line with us. And I'm going to kind of put you guys on the spot for a second, but I want to ask you both the same question. What is it about Mr. Bunny Brunel that's inspired your style of playing, or et cetera? What is it about Mr. Brunel that's it's taken you back by this amazing talent?
I'm gonna jump in and say a couple of DVDs that I bought because when I went to see the clinic that he did, it was a few years ago when I met Bunny, and Paul, my partner in crime over here, twisted my arm. He got tired of me telling bass players how to play bass, and because he goes, you do it the right way. Why don't you just play bass? And I said, all right, well, let's go to a Bunny Brunel clinic and see how it's done right. And I was just floored. I was just like, that's what I aspire to be. And from that point on, I bought a couple of the DVDs from him, and and it's been pretty much the prototype of the foundation of my playing. So I owe a lot to Bunny because it was a big inspiration. And everything from make sure that when you're thumping that you have a tone, not just a percussive sound. That was a big inspiration. And then just learning all the scales and modes, and just practicing, get your 10,000 hours in.
That's it. For me, being a French guy, I go back to, I remember seeing Bunny probably around 77. He was playing with a guy called Jacques Tolo.
Yes. Yep, we hear somebody.
Hello?
Oh, it looks like, we're having some internet challenges with Jackie. Continue on, Jessica.
Yeah. I remember seeing Bunny with a guy in France called Jacques Tolo, who was a drummer. And I was with a friend of mine who used to work at WEA, which is WEA, which means Warner Electra.
I'm interrupting you. Jacques Tolo used to be the drummer for Soft Machine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
Well, so anyway, I was with a friend from WEA named Philippe Cassegrain. I don't know if you remember that guy. And,
I remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so we heard about all the, there was all these bass players in France and all that we always heard about, and I had never heard about Bunny Brunel. So, and I was with my friend, and my friend goes, "How come we never heard about this guy?" And we're looking at him. It's like, man, this guy's pretty happening. So anyway, the kind of word gets around in Paris, but not that much and all that. And then the next thing I know, he was playing with Tania Maria, who's a famous Brazilian pianist. And then I kind of went to see him a couple of times because at the time he was the one who was really happening, and he was the first one who kind of got out of France, And then I saw him with Tony Williams, With the same guy, with Philippe Casgrain, because at the time I think you were signed with Atlantic, right?
No, I was with Philippe Casgrain. It was it was Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Warner Brothers. Anyway, so basically, you have to look up to a guy who's got chops, who's playing, and he was the first guy I saw who was doing the sliding harmonics, and basically, the guy got out. For us, it was somebody to look up to, who was incredible on bass, who got out of the country and had a career abroad, So I said, hey, I want to do what this guy's doing, Yeah. And sure enough, about a year later, I moved here, And so, it's somebody to look up to who's, from your own country and who's incredible on his instrument, So that's my story.
Well, I'm going to have to buy him a bottle of wine.
Well, you bought me many. You bought me a few, already.
Yeah.
And then, we became friends. I think I ran into you at the Baked Potato or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember.
Yeah, something like that. I forgot. But anyway, and then we started drinking, and, then it all went to crap.
The question is, does wine make the bass playing better?
Of course it does.
Yeah, but it makes the friendship a lot better, especially between two French guys. And two French guys from the South, we have the exact same taste in wine.
Okay, what is it? Tell me, guys.
Rosé de Provence.
Oh.
Yeah, the south of France.
Rosé, man. You can't go wrong.
You have to try. Actually, I'm making some advertising for Trader Joe. Trader Joe has, Côte de Provence. They do have. You have to try it. It's dry. It's
$7.99. It's not even expensive.
Yeah, the only wine you can actually put a ice cube on it. You have to drink it chilled, So.
We are talking about food and wine on a bass show.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Hey, man, that's what it's all about, right?
It's funny. That's what happened. When I finally, I met Jacko, at in LA first and all that, and then he came to see me. I was playing at Dante's. There was a club in the valley,
Absolutely.
And he came to see me and say, well, forget about the bass. We're gonna compete. We're gonna compete cooking. That's what he told me. And I told him, sorry, forget about the bass. Cooking, you're not gonna make it with me. I'm gonna kick your ass. He had no idea, that I was actually a cook. He had no idea, So it was funny because he forget about the bass. He wanted to compete cooking with me, so he wouldn't have made it at all. There was no way. And then I talked to his son last year, and he told me that he actually didn't know how to cook. That's what the son says, but I don't know.
But that's a good point you bring up, guys, because again, we're talking about food itself. I said I did an interview last year with Liberty DeVito from Billy Joel's band, and my wife actually commandeered the radio because they were talking about, Gamma Medina and all the good Italian food. And she feels, since I'm half Armenian, half Italian, I only had half an input to put in there. So with that said, let's talk to the two Frenchmen here on the line. Are you guys more biased to French cuisine, or what is your favorite? Let's start with Bunny first. Bunny, what do you love to eat?
Well, I like the south of France cuisine, and it's known to be one of the best, for your health, I just like, because my mother was from Lyon, and Lyon is gourmet food with cream and butter everywhere, but the south of France with the olive oil, the garlic and all that. So I still like the cream because I know how to make stuff very well like that, but I prefer to eat the south of France cuisine. And we have a specialty in Nice that you don't find anywhere. It's called soca. It's a big crepe that they made in a wood oven, made with the chickpea flours. Okay, and you just eat that. That's one of my favorites. And the thing that I was talking about, eat the pizza at La Pizza in Nice. That's the good food. So but usually I like salads. And I like fish and things like that. And of course, being half Italian, I like spaghetti and all that stuff. Good boy.
Josh, what about you, brother? What fills your palate?
South of France, same thing. Ratatouille.
Ratatouille, I forgot that one.
Yeah, ratatouille, which is southern French, and pretty much what we called pizza à la dière, which is from Nice. Am I correct, Bunny? Is that from Nice?
Yeah, pisaladia is from Nice as well. It's some kind of a pizza made with only onions.
Yeah.
Sauteed onions.
Yeah, my kids don't like it at all. They call it the onion pizza. They run away from
exactly. Hey, it doesn't have red sauce on it. It's no good.
No, it's very good. It's very good.
My wife makes what we call it, and this is not racist, but my wife makes the most amazing white pizza. And the white pizza simply is that. It's olive oil, garlic, and shrimp, and cheese, and cheese. And
Perfect.
that was a nice, as she would say, with a nice Riesling. She's a happy girl. So you guys, you know what? Let's be real. Come on, let's get over this. Let's get over the food, and let's get back to the talent here. And I don't mean Florentino. You don't count here, brother.
Oh, thank you. I'm taking that $20 back I was going to give you in the first place.
And I love you, brother. I love you, but you said you saw Bunny. You went to a few of his clinics. I've heard you play, brother. So I want you to go back to a few more clinics. Okay?
Oh, snap!
I love you, man. I love you. So Bunny, let's go back for a second. How many times have you and Jocelyn had a chance to play on stage together?
You know what? I don't even recall we did. We did a lot of studio collaborations. Bunny and I wrote a couple of books together for Hal Leonard, right?
That's right.
We wrote in the 90s, because I used to spend so much time at Bunny's house. We started writing, we wrote a book called Fretless Bass. I was going to write a book on fretless bass, and I'm going, gee, why don't I write it with the best guy on fretless bass? That would be a good idea. So, and we, it's still selling. And then we wrote a slap bass book, which I'm not the most happy with because I'm not a good slapper. I mean, Bunny's a great slapper, but I'm not. But
it's a good introduction.
It's a good introduction. Exactly.
We did a book. It's not like to be, because there's some people that slap the hell out of the bass. You have like Armand Sabaleko, Victor Wooten.
But you're absolutely
Freddie
right.
Washington, Marcus Miller. But it's good to give the kids, something where they can start and put their hand in the right position.
No, I'm not talking about your part of it. I'm talking about, mine. But the deal is the book still sells and sold a lot in the 90s. So it's good. I shouldn't put it down. I'm not putting it down, actually.
Bunny and Jocelyn, let me ask you a question this last minute here on this last segment. You guys don't go anywhere because I want to have you come back again because we're nowhere near done. But let me ask you this question if I can. And if I'm out of line, stop me. But, this coming Friday at Pitbull Audio and the fact that the legendary Bunny Brunel are going to be there. But Jocelyn, Bunny, I'm going to ask for you. Wouldn't it kind of be cool and a treat to the audience to have Jocelyn come in and you guys maybe do a little collaboration together in front of the listeners?
Sure, we can talk about it.
We'll talk about it and see, do a little thing. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I had to throw it out there, and forgive me for being, putting it. I'm not stirring the shit. I just want to think it'd be a great way for you guys to get together. So with that said, you guys don't go anywhere because we're trailing out of, can you believe it already, segment number 4 into segment number 5 of a 2-hour interview with Mr. Bunny Brunel. And on the line with us is also a dear friend of Jocelyn, another amazing bass player, and also Mr. Florentino Buenaventura. So you guys don't go anywhere. We've got 2 more segments coming up. We've got 1,000 more questions, and I don't think we have enough time to answer them. We're going to do our damnedest to do so. So don't go anywhere. Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You guys don't go anywhere. We're coming up on segment number 5, so stay tuned.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back to segment number 5 of a 2-hour interview with Mr. Bunny Brunel. Hey guys, this is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You guys, today's March 1st, as I said a little while ago. It's Wednesday. But you know what tomorrow is, man? Tomorrow is March the 2nd. Why do I bring that up? Why? Because the gentleman I have on my line, the iconic and legendary bass player, Mr. Bunny Brunel, is having a birthday tomorrow. So gentlemen, if you would be so kind with me on 3, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Bass players have no time.
Happy birthday. That's the damn guitar player.
Dear Bunny.
Happy birthday to you.
Congratulations, Bunny brother. Congratulations. Many more.
I love the delays, everybody will be on the different timing line. I love that.
Bunny, the delays were brought to you by the bass players, not the percussionist here.
Well, you had the percussion going from the guitar player, so that's already where it starts off bad.
Yeah, well, guitar players don't count. So.
Thank you very much. Guys, anyway, I loved it.
Beautiful. And I'm going to ask you guys. Getting back here, gentlemen, stay with me on this itself. Hey, Bunny, I got to ask a question because a lot of people want to know. I want to know because you've been around the multitudes of entertainers. I have, Josquin has, and Florentino hasn't. But the thing is, what we're here
I'm taking my bass part back from your intro song.
That's it.
No more bass for you on the intro. That's gone.
No, because of all the shit you give me for percussion, I'm taking full advantage of it right now. So, Bunny, put your thinking cap on for a second. And of all the people, the coolest people you've met so far, and it does not include me, out of all the coolest entertainers, musician-wise, who really made you smile? Who did you think really was cool? Who actually really brought it to Bunny?
Well, I mean, there's so many of them. I cannot just name one of them. Most of those great players I plays with are like that, Got Chick Corea, Tony Williams, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter. They are all make me smile. Larry Coryell, Alphonse Mouzon, they're all adorable. They're all very, very nice people. There is some people that I won't mention any name that are full of themselves. And, some people, they are so good, so people accept it like that. But the one that I met, most of them, the greatest, are actually all very nice and humble. They have their ego is placed at the right spot. you cannot not going to say something putting them down. That would be bad. But they're all very nice. You can talk to them. You can ask questions and all that. They let you ask for anything. If you ask Herbie Hancock, what do you play on a dolphin dance? What is those chords right there? If he has a piano, he'll show it to you. This just because I call that confidence. They are so confident that giving you their knowledge, not going to take anything out of them, and all those great players are like that. They know exactly. You ask them, they'll tell you, they're not afraid. That's what I do when I teach people. I teach them everything I know, and it was funny. So one day I go at the baked potatoes, and they had Kyle Eastwood, is the son of Clint Eastwood, that plays the bass. I taught him how to play the bass, the upright bass and electric bass. And I come in and Justin, Randy, the owner, say, "Oh, that guy sounds just like you." I say, "Yes, that's my student."
I love it.
So because you have to show the knowledge. It doesn't take anything out of you. I think Phil Jones was doing the same thing, and somebody asked him the question, "How come you show your students everything?" So you say, well, number one, they're never going to really play it the way I play it. Number two, they're not going to put it where I play it. Number three, if they play it the same way and play it at the right spot, people are going to say, "Oh, Phil Jones." So I think it's a really good thing. And these people are like that. These people, all those great musicians are like that. They if you ask them, they'll tell you, they have nothing to hide.
And that's a great testament, and it's also very much of a compliment to them coming from Bunny Brunel. And Bunny, let me ask you this question though: so of all the people that you've played with, is there someone that you have on your bucket list that you want to play with before it's time for you to go home?
No. Just basically, I'm gonna turn the thing upside down for you. I tell people, do what excites you the most with no expectation. Do the best you can with what you have, with excite you the best, with no expectation, and things will come to you the right way. The perfect example of that, I was just playing the bass. I was exciting 8-10 hours a day, practicing, trying to, and go and play and all that. I never thought I would be playing with Chick Corea and, Herbie and all. I never thought, but the universe brings you the people you supposed to play with, So I don't have any list at all whatsoever, and it always happened that I play with some great musician. Even right now, playing. We just played last weekend at the Alvas showroom in San Pedro with Kellyn Peoples, who was singing and playing the flute, and on drums we had my friend, amazing Virgil Donati.
Absolutely.
On drums, it's just like a dream, Play with a great guitar player, Joe Calderon, and somebody that never played before from Sri Lanka. His name is Mahesh Balasuriya, a crazy pianist. That guy is very, very good. So it's just, you do what you excite you, and then you play with the right people. You don't have to have a list. You will play, with the people you want to play. It'll come to you. That's the way it is. So I actually do not have any special wishes.
And that's fair enough. And and Bunny, let me just ask you this question, because I asked a lot of us older gentlemen in the industry, us veterans, if you will. The things that we did 25, 30 years ago was what we did 25, 30 years ago. But as we get past our midlife and we're still relevant and we're still kicking ass and playing to the masses, is there a special preparation that Bunny Brunel has before he goes into the studio / or goes on stage? Is there anything that you do more now than you did back then, or is it pretty much the same?
No, it's about the same. In fact, because you need to practice your instrument. You need to get the chops. That's the problem. The problem is after a while, you got to get the mechanics going. So you gotta practice. You gotta. Unfortunately, with life going on, I cannot do 8 hours, 10 hours a day like I used to, But I like that. I like to sit down. If I'm watching something on the computer, whatever, I take the bass and I practice. Get the muscles to move. Like for the clinic, this afternoon, and I'm going to practice all the tune and I'm playing tomorrow. I have to do that, I have to get the chops and remember everything that's going on, comparing to the tape and all that to match. So you have to practice. That's the thing. There is no in between. You have to practice because you lose the chops, and you have to do that.
And Bunny, let me ask you this question, as deep as you go into the recording industry, and let's say you're working with a producer, and I use that word loosely, producer, because, you and I and all the I'll put myself in the mix, the greater players in the industry, producers hire us exclusively on most occasions because they know they're going to get from us without having to sit there and go back to teaching.
That's what I was talking about before, yes.
Okay, so with that said, and I want you to be honest to the listeners out there and also to myself, when Bunny is introduced to a new producer and you're sitting down and you're doing what you've been paid to do, if you feel that a part is written and or expected to sound like on, and it doesn't work for Bunny Brunel, will Bunny talk to the artist and or the producer about the way it should be played or way it should be written, or do you keep your mouth shut?
No, usually it goes that they hire you, because they know you're going to play a certain way. So they usually let you play, So that's the thing I was telling you, the difference between American producing and French. You have the arranger that writes the drum part, they write everything, Here they don't. They just hire the right guy, give him, oh, you got to play. You have the chord changes. If there's a line that everybody plays together, then they write it down and you play it with everybody. But usually they let you be yourself. That's why they hire you in the first place.
Right.
Because they know they're going to get a great job. They're going to get a great job happening there. They know it.
But, and do you have a preference of a larger crowd or smaller crowd, or you don't care?
It doesn't matter. Past 20,000, you cannot see anybody. Somebody asked me that. Exactly. I played in Paris. It was 1.5 million people. All right. In front of the Eiffel Tower over there was a sea of people. And people ask me, is there a difference? No, I only see the few first row. I don't see anything, it's just a mass of people. It doesn't make much of a difference. The difference is like you get a vibe for the people, it's really strong, But sometimes you can get that in a small theater where everybody's excited and you get the same kind of thing. It's just I don't really think about it or whatever. You just go and do what excites you the best way you can with no expectation, and everything works.
And Bunny, I asked that question because the biggest crowd I played in front was almost, I think about 90,000 people. It was at the Rose Bowl here in Pasadena, and I was playing with Stevie B and C&T Music Factory. And I got to be honest with you, somebody asked me what it was like to play, and I agree with you. It is a shining sea of faces. But I got to be honest with you, man, it scared the shit out of me. Just for the fact of the matter is, as the fandonium of the people in the audience to see these groups, I thought to myself, what the hell would happen if they rushed the stage? And of course, that would have, that would have been something else. But again, I only thought of that because I think I smoked too much weed that day. So I guess the paranoia was setting in one way or the other.
Yeah,
so
maybe you should stop smoking.
Well, yeah, I did a long time ago. Trust me. But but the whole thing is based upon that itself. I give the same energy. I'm sure you give the same energy if you're walking out in front of 10 people or in front of 100,000 people, and that's what makes you you. And and I want to ask you this question because. I'm intrigued by this because as we get older, does our music change? So, Bunny, let me ask you this question. Maybe the same thing with Florentino or Jocelyn also. If I was to commandeer, if I was to take your iPhone or whatever your listening pleasure is and your music library and I put it in my ears in a headphone, what's going to come out of those that music list that Bunny listens to? Share with us.
Well, it's a pretty different type of thing, I listen to a different type of things. I've got some Brazilian music. I got all different. I'm not really following to listen only one style. And usually, when I have an album coming out, then I listening to the album quite a lot because I want to correct stuff, and then I make the mixes. Then when the mix is done, then I still listen to it a little bit, but not as much anymore. And then I don't listen to you. So on my phone, I have all my albums, so it's playing randomly and listening. Oh yeah, that was great. I did that. Oh, how the hell did I compose that one? So I'm just listening to the whole thing I did like that, and then I listen to other things. I listen to some people talking. I don't know if you ever heard of a channel called Bashar Sri Lanka. I listen to some of those recording. Explaining what everything is all about. I also have some tapes of the old Seth Speaks, that's the kind of thing I listen, that it's some kind of, it's go behind what the people usually learn in religions and all that, explaining that everything is actually made with the different levels. It's quantum physics, basically, that everything happens at the same time, all the possibilities, and that we're switching from one to the other. So I listen to stuff like that. It's a very interesting, and that's the things I really like.
Well, and that's a great answer. And Bunny, let me ask you this question also too. 2-part question. Actually, both derived from my wife, and I love the questions itself. The first one I want to ask, and I ask all the entertainers, if Bunny Brunel was not playing bass or music, what would you be doing?
Well, cooking. I don't know. Okay. This is the question. I don't actually see that at all, so it's got to be. And I like to talk to people, I'm a kind of, I was a leader of a Buddhist organization. I was a leader of a district, the people chanting Namyo Rengekyo, same thing as Wayne Shorter and Herbie Hancock. And I used to be a leader and answering questions with the members, explaining to them. They're wondering, oh, that's happened. What should I do? I like to do that. I've always liked to kind of teach people how to think. That's what I like to do.
Part 2 of the Inquisition here. Think about this for a second. Out of all the songs that you've played on, you've been blessed to play on, do you remember where you were and what song it was the first time you heard Bunny Brunel playing on the radio?
You asking me that question?
I'm asking you. Where were you? What was the first song that you heard yourself on the radio playing? And what were you feeling?
I do not remember. I have no recall of that.
Okay.
At all.
I mean, I remember, it's funny because you're one of the rare ones, because everybody have asked that question. Do they remember exactly where they were, what time of day it was, what song it was, and the artist they played with it? And that's good. That's cool. That's fine. Because, it shows in fact that you've played on so many damn hits that you don't remember exactly where it was that when you were listening to it. So, and I appreciate that honesty on that, brother. So, and what I want in the last segment of a 2-hour show, we're going to reel this in, guys, like you have no idea. Josh Gwen and Florentino, don't go anywhere because we're going to do our regular spiel. And we're going to find out everything about Bunny Brunel, more than we talked about his cooking and his love of eating and so on and so forth, and how at 67 years old, how he still loves women. And so when we get back on the last segment, we're going to pick it up and we're going to find out everything about Bunny Brunel, where to find him, where his new projects are. And I want to know the basis of what his personal feeling is about the music business, where it's headed or the lack thereof. So you guys don't go anywhere. I want you to stick around. And also any other questions, please address them to Jackie at jackiesgroove.com. This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You guys don't go anywhere. We're going to pull it in the last segment, 18 minutes. Get those questions in. Love you guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break. Talk to you soon. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio. That song, Spain, has got to be one of my favorites. And again, a song that I loved when Al Jarreau belted it out, and also when Stevie Wonder belted it out. And I'm going to talk about this song right now with my in-studio guest, the legendary and iconic French-American bass player, cordon bleu chef, and a man whose birthday party is tomorrow. We're going to welcome back Mr. Bunny Brunel. Bunny, I want to ask you a question, brother. Please tell me who that was and the genesis and the musicians on that track of Spain.
Of Spain, the one you just played?
Yes, sir.
The one you just played, the singer flutist, that's actually her album called My Men, is Kelly Peoples, okay? And I actually don't know exactly the name of the musicians.
I got that for you here, Bunny.
Can you say, because I don't remember that.
You've got obviously Kayleen was the singer flautist. Kevin Flournoy, who's actually a good friend of the networks, who's been on a number of our shows, and we've kind of helped with his K-Flow shows. The piano player, Mark Hammond on guitar, Bunny Brunel, of course, on acoustic bass, and then Tony Moore.
Never heard of him. And definitely Tony Moore. Hey,
Bunny, hold on a second, Jack. I wanted to say that.
Go ahead.
You were asking. This was the CD that was in my car. I brought it in to play for Mr. Paul Berezetsky, because I definitely love the vocal jazz stuff.
Yeah, and it's so cool. And I'm gonna I mentioned before when we left on the last one, I want to talk about the music business without getting political about. But what I want to do on this segment, the last segment, you guys, of the 2-hour show, Florentino, will you just do me a favor and do what you do best? Would you just extricate and dissect where we can get all the information from Mr. Bunny Brunel?
Well, usually, if you go on, if you Google my name, usually you got tons of things coming up. But there is my site, bunnybrunel.com. And you have a first PR, .com. You can find even more there with the latest things happening, because we are going to redo my site, which is quite old, but you still have a lot of things, videos over there. People can purchase charts, CDs, and books of bunnybrunel.com. But you can find me on CD Baby. You can find me on iTunes, Amazon. And I've been corrected on something. It's First Take PR. That's where you can find all the information about the records and all the latest things like that. And my album, that new album Baseball that I produced with Stanley Clarke will be available in stores probably on the middle of the month. That they're probably already shipping some right there.
Yeah.
And also Facebook. Go ahead, Tino.
Facebook I have two of them. Yeah, Bunny Brunel and Bunny Brunel 2. It's a 2 capital I, by the way, the Roman type number. Because the thing is just I have already 10,000 friends, but you can always ask.
Every one of them personally.
Yeah, exactly. And you can always ask because some of them drop off, and then I can add new ones. Some people drop off. But Ryan, sometimes don't get offended if I don't, and so it's because it's full.
Yeah, well, it definitely tells you. And I wanted to let everybody know, if you go to entertalkradio.com and look to the page on the bottom right-hand corner of right there on the homepage is the poster for the clinic, and it links you right to the invite. So you make sure it's going to be a packed house. This is what I'm hearing. You always have a huge turnout over here in San Diego. We love you down here. You lived down here for a while, if I remember rightly, and we're all looking forward to that. And with that said, you've got some really cool companies that endorse you. So let's go ahead and give a shout out. I know we talked about it earlier in the show, but let's talk a little bit about the gear that people are going to be seeing at this event, and all the fun companies that are have been loving you for a long time, Bunny.
Yes, well, people have to know the history. I designed first company I was designing. I helped the BB series of Yamaha. That was the first thing. If you see like a Yamaha, the BB 3000, that's basically my idea of thing like that. But they were, not really doing exactly what I wanted completely. It was a very good bass. I played it for quite a while. After that, I was summoned by Gibson. I did in 1986, 85, 86. I did a Bunny Brunel Gibson. There's only few of them in the market because it was going out of their way. They had a great guy who came from London, Roger Geffen, makes instrument, who made my bass. So they made only about 10 of them, 10, 12 of them.
Wow.
Kylie.
A good amount right now.
Yeah, well, the thing is just like it was a hole through the body. All their thing was bolt on and blah, blah, blah. So they were not doing it. By the way, Kyle Eastwood that I was talking about, he has like 3 or 4 of them. If you see him play one day, you will see he's got the Bunny Brunel Gibson. So anyhow, and after 5 years, I decided to say, well, you're not doing anything. I've talked to Henry Juskevich, who is the owner, and I told him, you're not doing it, so let's stop it right there. You don't owe me anything, I don't owe you anything. And it's great that I did that because I didn't lose my name. Like Tobias lost his name, Neil Steinberger lost his name, a lot of people, I didn't. And then I was approached by Carvin, and I went with Carvin. I was with them for 20 years, but they never really did the shape of the instrument the way I wanted. They did a great job, by the way. They are a very good company, really high quality, made in America, which is great. Anyway, but I was approached by ESP, to do the model, and I just gave them the Gibson, and they copied exactly the body. They made the neck and the body exactly the way the Gibson was, and I'm really happy. They have a Aguilar electronic on it and pickups. And this is a perfect balance. It's just, it's wonderful. It's a very great job, 5-string.
Yeah, I see that at the
4-string,
show. It was amazing.
fretless, Fred, they did a very, very good job. And I'm start using Eden amplifier, so we got a couple of amplifiers over there. So, and they always been good amplifiers. It's a good company, and it's got a nice sound. really I like it compact, I don't like to make it boomy like that, because you do that on stage and then it feels like there's an elephant covering everybody else. So you can always do that on the sound system anyway. I like when the sound is tight and then it goes through the sound system. It sounds good. So that's basically what it is. And I'm using also Digitech pedals. That's all I do, nothing else. I don't have like 1,000 pedals, I just have the PB 290, whatever. It's just compact volumes and some effect. And I usually don't use more than delay and reverb, and that's it. I'm not too much of a fan of, effect. I remember I have some recording. You won't record me. It was the time when everybody had to have chorus, so I would do the whole record with a heavy chorus on the bass. So
right.
No, I don't want to do that anymore. So you remember we were talking about that violin player where Josquin replaced me with that group Surya. We together we made his first recording. And it's called Lockwood, and it was released under his brother's name, the keyboard player, Francis Lockwood. And you can hear the whole thing. Heavy, heavy chorus on the bass on the whole record, So
it's very
so that
cool.
was the hip thing at the time. So I wouldn't want to do that again. So.
Well,
are we satisfied there, young man?
Yeah. I'd like to get the promotional out. Want to give a shout out to Jeff and the crew over there at ESP. They really did a great job at helping put this all together, and we're excited. If you can't make it out to the actual event, we're going to be doing a multi-camera Facebook Live. So, tune in on Facebook on the Intertalk Radio page. Just type in Intertalk Radio in your search, or you can go to facebook.com/Intertalk Radio, and you'll be able to check it out there. I mean, we encourage everybody to come out because the experience is not quite the same. But if you can't make it, because, Jackie's got listeners all over the world, you still could tune in. 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It will be going off, and it's going to be an amazing time. Like I said, it inspired me to really take to the bass, and and I'm definitely not in the same league as Josquin or Bunny by any means, but inspiration can come in many different shapes and sizes.
Well, I would like to stop him right there. Everybody has something particular to say. You don't have to be like a virtuoso. It doesn't matter if you play the bass and you play the pocket in it. That's all we need. That's you're a bass player. You don't need to do anything, fantastic or whatever. Just play the bass. I think that's the best thing people can do. And everybody has something special to say, everybody.
And Florentino, what he's saying is that there is a chance for you. How can I say this?
I like how you two go at it.
So are you telling me to give up my day job? You want me to just pack it all in and just go back to being a full-time bassist? Is that what you're saying?
No, then I'm out of a job. If you get rid of Intertalk Radio, then I'm done. Hey, you know what? And I just want to take the last couple of minutes here. Bunny, you've been relevant, and you will be relevant, and obviously because of your heart and your passion for playing, and we respect that, and we thank you very much for gracing our show. But I want to ask you a question. For a man that's been in the business longer than I have my own personal feelings and my own soapbox that I want to get on. But would you do me a favor and tell the listeners out there, old and new, the ones that are familiar with Bunny and the ones who have just made themselves familiar with Bunny, reach deep down in your heart and in your brain for a second, Bunny, and share it with me. What do you think? What is your feeling about the music business today, or the lack thereof?
Well, there's no lack of it. It's just it's switching to a different way for people to promote themselves. Before, to promote yourself, you had to go through a record company. You had to sign a contract where they bleed you to death, give you like an advance money to record that you have to recoup. And I always thought that to be really unfair, because you're bringing your talent, and that's worth a lot of money, but the record company should bring what they have the money to make the recording, and you shouldn't have to recoup the money of the recording, because without you they wouldn't have no recording. End of story. But no, it's been like that. They signed a contract, and then you making $1 per album you sell, and you have to recoup everything they spend. if they do like advertising, the phone calls, the printing, the pictures, the everything. So you never make money. You would have to sell 1 million albums before you see any money. I have records like that. I have the Cab record 1, 2, and 4, I believe. I mean, I have those albums. No, so 1 and 2, and then I have another one with the Universal, dedication. No money. I never see any money. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Why? Because they gave a little advance to make the recording, and then you have to recoup thing, and they do jack shit about it. Now the game is changing. There is the internet. You can release your album just, for instance, with CD Baby, and then you can advertise it, get a PR firm, and get the thing going on, and then you can start selling album. And when you sell one album, you making the money of the album. Right. Let's say I'm just to make the thing. You paying $1 to make each album. You sell it $10. You're making $9 right there. You know what I mean? And then on the download, you're not even losing the dollar at all. You know what I mean? So it's a totally different game. And the thing that I found really funny, it's when Steve Jobs announced that he was going to distribute music. All record companies say, "You don't know anything about music." They laugh at him. Now they all with their pants down, and I'm not going to get into details, to be distributed, because they could have done it because they're the one who had the material. But they were too arrogant. They didn't see it coming, and now people don't go through them anymore.
If I may jump in on this, there are bands like Def Leppard. Time goes by really fast. Yeah. Def Leppard, turned around. All their masters became theirs, and they just remastered all the records. They're on tour, and they're selling now their old records. Full pop, and they keep all the money.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the way to do it, and it's all game changing. The company who bought all the record company are movies company, Universal, Warner Brothers, and all that. You don't have all those little label that you had before. They disappeared. So personally, I'm not interested unless they want to give me $1 million. I'm not interested at all. Then I can make one album for them. You understand what I mean? It's just like I never made any money, so I don't want to give anything. If you sign with a company, you sign and you have to do a license. Give them 5 years, and then the thing comes back to you. But don't give them the masters. Do not do that. I tell people, don't do that, because they're not going to do anything unless you are a 13-year-old girl who's going to sing and move around, and they're not going to promote you at all. Nothing's going to happen. They're not going to promote you.
There you go, guys.
Before we stop, I want to say something. You were talking about the musician that really appreciate whatever, One of the main one is Stanley Clarke. Stanley Clarke is one of the greatest bass player because he plays the bass, acoustic bass and electric bass, and is one of the nicest person. And always that's been my pal since the beginning. And he had me playing, doing a rehearsal. You remember I mentioned that I loved Return to Forever with the acoustic thing with Joe Farrell. And he called me because he had a concert with them and he couldn't rehearse. He sent me to do the rehearsal. It was funny. I arrived on stage, and Chick arrived with the charts, Here's the chart. I said, I don't need any charts, Just stop playing, I knew both album by heart, So thanks to Stanley.
Bunny, I got to jump in here. Stanley, thank you. I hate to cut you off, brother, but there's the bumper music. Bunny Brunel, thank you so much from everybody. Go see Bunny this Friday at Pitbull Audio. This is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Talk Radio. Bunny, thank you, brother. God bless you, man. And let's share some pommes frites soon.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Dimeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.